like a lot of these regulars, the other thing I noticed is that regulars, I make adjustments based on how good a player is. So my continuing ranges in situations are more narrow against good players and wider against bad players. And to just be perfectly honest, I don't think any regular at 50 and L on stars does this. Like, they just don't think about that at all. So you'll notice, like, again, I don't want to get too like, I'm, the best player, blah, 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 but in blind versus blind, if I 4-bet you and you have Jack 9 suited, one of the reasons you should fold is because I'm a good player. Like, you should peel more often against worse players and call more often against, and fold more often against, oh my goodness, excuse me. You should fold more often against the good players. And the better the player is, the more you should fold. Like, the wider the range you should fold. So, like, I never see a reg ever factor this into their decision making. I never see any evidence that they do. So, I know I do, and I do to a great extent. So you can go pretty far with it. And we bet here with the intention of bet calling 40/5 on king 6. I think he has a lot of strong hands here. So I think when this exact card comes off, and he's going to show us how wrong I am, but I think we're getting paid here a ton of the time. So jacks, I guess. Aces would be good. Ace king. So yeah, that's mostly a function of stack depth, because when we know that they're 40/5, and I'll try not to butcher any more words moving forward, but when we know that they're 40/5, they should have a very polarized range when they check the flop, either giving up or strong, and then strong, like, sometimes it check calls and we just get to see our draw for the price we set, 5x, and then sometimes it check raises. But because the stack depth was what it was, I knew, hey, if I bet and he makes like anything but the most preposterously large check raise sizes, then I'm going to be able to bet call and see the turn in position. And like another example, because I know he's 40/5, he's not a good player, that I should peel where otherwise I might not, or I should continue in the hand with position. So, and it's an illustration why, because he didn't even have like a set or king jack. He had a hand that was drawing dead. So yeah, I mean, that's just a really good example of why we should do those. That should be like a rule for us. I mean, the best illustration or easiest like thought experiment of why is to think about implied odds set mining. So you have deeper or higher, you have implied odds of higher value against tight ranges with pocket fives, right? Because queens plus ace king is going to be a more appreciable slice of the pie that is the person's range, the opponent's range. And then, so when you make your set, you get paid more often. Interesting here if they decide to bet this card. I think we have to call. This is one of the cards that we really can't fold, and I don't know. Yeah, I guess I wussed out there on the value raise. I'm sorry. Sorry for not making as much money for myself as I'm supposed to. Okay, so yeah, implied odds. So you have more implied odds against certain people, against certain ranges than other ranges, right? A 10% range, 30% of a 10% range is jacks plus ace king, and then 20% range, only 15% of that range is jacks plus ace king. So if we're getting the deepest implied odds with pocket fives against jacks plus ace king, therefore therefore we should be more reticent to set mine 20% opens and happier to set mine 10% opens.